Triangle of Sadness is an interesting movie. I'm late to reviewing this movie because, frankly, I didn't know anything about this movie, and then someone told me it won the Palme d'Or Award at I forget which film festival that is. I would know, but I don't go to film festivals, not for any particular reason except that they're not near me. And while I would love to go to these film festivals, they're not near me. I can't necessarily go to these types of things easily, and I don't know. I don't know anyone that would actually honestly go with me, to be honest. But yeah, this film was interesting. I liked it, but it's a very weird movie. So this movie is a satire of capitalism, and it's very weird, bizarre. Let's start with the things I didn't like about this movie, because I mostly liked this movie. I did have a couple issues with it. I think the main thing I had with this movie was it is very slow. Uh, I was watching it, and at a couple points, I started zoning out. Not because it wasn't interesting, but it felt longer than it is. And it almost felt like it was sitting in this theater for 3 hours. Even though it's only a 2 hour and 23-minute movie about this odd story and characters that are really interesting, but also, this is more of a nitpicky thing. I can't stand watching Woody Harrelson in movies now because after Woody Harrelson was Carnage in the Venom movies, I hear his voice and I associate him with that terrible performance as Carnage, and that's hard to disassociate. I really try to, but it's hard. I think everybody has an actor like that. They just have a hard time disassociating with. But that's not this fault to him in this movie. He's actually okay in this movie. Um, I think this movie is really clever, has an interesting script and style to it. It is beautifully shot in many sequences. There are very cool moments of cinematography. This is a movie that I watched and I'm still sitting here thinking about what it all was about, what it was all trying to say. And I still don't quite know, but I know I'm going to be thinking about it for a while and it makes me want to watch this film again, and that's the sign of a really interesting, smart movie. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And while I did say it was slow, there were certain sequences that you sit with and you go, "That was worth that wait of sitting there." But there are other sequences that made you groan and it was a little slow, but they always make it worth your while. And I think that's why this movie is a really interesting movie. And it seems to be a very polarizing movie with people because I work in a movie theater. I mention this a lot, but I don't say this stuff to gloat. A lot of the things I talk about just kind of deal with that fact. Basically, so I was hearing people who would come out of the movie saying true things about it. It was very polarizing. Like some people were like, "It's really bad," because it didn't have an ending, or some guy was telling me that they were trying to discuss the themes of what it all meant, what it all was, and that's a sign of a really interesting movie that it can have all these different reactions on people, and I think that's really cool. I think that has a layer to do with the themes, the ideas, the stories, the things the film is trying to communicate. It is a very smart movie, a very clever movie. It's a movie that I'm definitely going to probably rewatch again, but not for a while, just because it is a lot to take on. But I definitely have this desire to watch this film again and fully uncover everything it's trying to say, what it's trying to do. I like this film. I recommend it if it's playing at a theater near you, especially since I don't think it's going to be playing much longer. This film is playing a limited release, and not very many theaters are playing it. And it looked like the theater I work at is actually getting ready to remove it. So that's why, as soon as I was able to, I rushed out to see it because I think with Black Panther this week, they're kind of removing some of these smaller movies to prepare for more screens to be showing that movie, which makes sense, even though it is quite frustrating because a lot of these smaller movies get buried because of that, even though films like this definitely deserve your attention.